Homestead Committee of the Whole, Finance, Enterprise, and Marketing, Public Safety Committee meeting to order. Thank you very much. Vice Mayor? Socializing, huh?
Trying to find out about Audubon Court.
Thank you very much. I will now entertain a roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Bell?
Here.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Here.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Here.
Councilman Nelson?
Here.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Here.
Councilman McCormick?
Here.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Here. Thank you. I will now entertain a motion to approve the Committee of the Whole September 23rd, 2008 minutes.
Move it.
It's been properly moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. The ayes carry. Thank you very much. First item, electric rate adjustment. Councilwoman Lobos.
Thank you, Mayor Bell. This item was first presented to us when the city manager presented the proposed city budget, which was approved and passed. And so this electric rate adjustment, which is tab 2, is looking to increase. The budget told us that it would be increased by 2%, but it will be increased by 1.9%. And primarily what we're focusing on is a lot of capital improvement projects that have been postponed year after year, and so now we've gotten to the point where we need to. It's critical that we implement these capital projects, and so we're going to go ahead and do that to continue to maintain the level of service that we have been providing. So go ahead, Mr. Shahar. Hold on a second. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Second it.
Thank you so much. Mr. Shahara?
Chairwoman Lopez, council members, Councilwoman Lopez covered it extremely well. When we did the budget presentation, I went over it several times with you, but like she said, this, electric rates were adjusted last time in 1987, 89. I think it's 89.
89 and over.
89. Last time we adjusted, and this is going to be an average impact on a residential customer of $1.49, and it's extremely needed. We did all the cuts we can do. We reduced staffing as much as we can, but it gets to a point where you really have to adjust your rates. Homestead is not unique in this area. There's lots of cities who are adjusting their rates. And of course, this is separate from the PCA, or power cost adjustment, or fuel adjustment like in other utilities. So therefore we ask your approval of this ordinance, so we move it forward to council for 2 readings.
Thank you very much, Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Manager.
This is also reviewable by the Public Service Commission, and the application of it, I don't know if we received a response back from them yet, but prior to second reading, we will get Public Service Commission approval.
We did submit it to the Service Commission for approval. They told us it takes about a month. Just to be on the safe side, we gave ourselves 2 months for approval. So the motion is moving. It actually started in the beginning of September when we submitted.
Thank you, Mr. Shahara. And I'd just like to point out, too, like you said, we're not isolated in having to increase our rates. And I know that about 3 months ago, FP&L sent us an email saying that they were looking to increase, and I believe they increased it 16%. So I'm glad that we're keeping it below the 2%. Are there any questions or comments?
I have a comment, Ms. Lobos.
Go ahead, Mayor Bell.
I want to say I appreciate Councilman Lobos, the Finance Committee, the budget staff for working so hard to keep these increases so low. 1.9% when we haven't had an increase in so long. And when I have explained this and talked to so many people in the city of Homestead, they realize $1.49 a month is such a little price to pay to make the capital improvements that this city so desperately needs. And I know I've talked to different members of the Homestead Electric Utility Department, and they would share with me how this department needs so much work, and this department needs financing and money. So this is the least that we can do to keep our power on. When you flip those lights on the city of Homestead, you're very grateful and thankful. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Bell. Any further questions or comments? Okay, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
No.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We're moving on to the next item, which is tab 3. It's the Surveyor's 2005 CDBG Disaster Ready Initiative Agreement.
I'll move it.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. And I know, Mr. Shahada, you said that we would refer to the CRA director to give us more information on this.
I could just say a little bit just to refresh your memories. If you recall back a couple of months ago, we came to council for approval of consultants. We practically ran consultants to do work for us, and there were a group of consultants to do work, surveying, structural engineering, and other miscellaneous engineering services and consulting services. And now we're going to specifics. Now we're going into how much, what exactly they're going to be doing, practically giving them tasks. And that's what we're coming for council for approval for this item and the next item. Then I'd like to, like Madam Chair said, I'd like you to shed a little bit more light on this item.
Good evening. Urbano and Associates are going to be performing several scopes of services for the 8 houses that we have selected for our DRI project. These are Hurricane Wilma houses that were damaged. The surveyor will be looking at replacement of the homes, construction, staking of the building, spot for foundations, and interior remodeling. Basically, that comes out to about $3,665 per unit times 8. That's how we come up to $29,000. I have our consultant here, David Fox, who's been working on the grant, and the consultants too, if you have any questions in more detail.
Thank you, Mr. Wick. Are there any questions or comments to either Mr. Wick or the consultant that's here?
I have a question.
Mayor Bell?
How were these houses specifically selected?
You did an advertisement. They've got to be low to moderate in your southwest neighborhood, but they were advertised in the paper and based on a ranking, which was never used. We never received more than 8 qualified applicants.
Thank you.
Without any further questions or comments, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And last item, I'm sorry, the next item is tab 4.
I'll move it. I'll second.
Thank you. And this is the same thing, 2005 CDBG Disaster Recovery Initiative. This is Phase 1 Agreement of Structural Engineers. Go ahead, Mr. Shahada.
It's actually similar to what we did, the first item, but for engineering instead of survey.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Tab 5, Mr. Eiler, Henry Eiler is here. It's to renew the agreement with the Eiler Planning Group.
I'll move it. Second.
Thank you. Mr. Eiler, would you like to speak to the council? Prior to Mr. Shahada, you want to say something? Go ahead, Mr. Shahada.
Again, this is one of these consulting agreements we have with the professionals, and Henry Eiler has been doing work for us for several years. Some of the work, this is really just as the work comes, he charges hourly rates for him and his staff. And also I want to highlight that some of this work he does for us, this cost falls under the cost recovery, and we recover it through, by charging applicants practically for the services Mr. Eiler and his staff does have certain private property.
Thank you, Mr. Shahada. Go ahead, Mr. Eiler.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the Committee of the Whole. Henry Eiler, President Principal of Eiler Planning Group. For those of you I haven't had the pleasure of meeting, we will be doing similar groups of services as we've done for the last several years. This would include any annexation work with Miami-Dade County as we submit some applications. In fact, there was one supposed to be on the agenda this morning that was moved to Friday. But we were going to be there this morning until that was canceled. Any comprehensive plan amendments that would come up during the year, any land development code revisions are covered by this contract. The most important study, probably starting from the get-go, is a residential moratorium study, which I know has been on everybody's mind. And so that's really our first priority. And I believe Marty Snyder, my principal planner and project manager on this project, will be meeting with staff tomorrow to kind of kickstart that study. And then any other services that the manager's office or Sherry or anybody needs during the year are covered under this agreement. And then Mike also mentioned that the development review, cost recovery services are also in here. As developers come in with site plans, rezonings or whatever it might be, then we would on an hourly basis go to the planning board meetings and, those types of meetings, do the staff reports, those
Okay.
types of services.
Thank you. I have a question. What is the time frame on that study for the residential moratorium?
It's in the, let me see what we had in here. I think it's the last item. It is 4 months.
4 months. Thank
4
you.
months. So we're looking at the first, like, January.
Good. Thank you.
I would just also like to mention, I'm not sure I will at the council meeting, but I would like to get an opportunity, and I'd like to work through the manager's office. I'd like to meet with each of you in the next month or two just to talk about our planning services and just answer any questions individually. Obviously, if you feel like you already know everything, regarding that, but there's several of you I have not met, and I would like to correct that. So that would be an off-the-clock kind of item, and I would just come down and make myself available for maybe half an hour, however long you'd like. But I'd like that opportunity with each of you, just to kind of make sure that we're keeping on the right vision for the community and have your ideas in mind.
Thank you, Mr. Eiley. Go ahead, Mayor Bell.
I was going to say, I know you for a long time, Henry, but I certainly don't know everything, so I would be delighted to meet with you.
Well, I'm gonna work through Mike's office, and maybe we can set that up on a basis of the next 2, 3, 4
That'd be a
weeks.
good idea.
Good.
Thank you. Are there any
Thank you.
further questions or comments? Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you. That's
Thank
it,
you.
Mayor Bell.
Thank you very much, Councilman Lobos. We now have the Marketing Committee, Councilwoman Sierra with the Homestead 100 presentation. Oh, good. I'm looking forward to this.
Thank you so much, Mayor Bell. Actually, I wanted to make a quick correction. It is the Marketing and Tourism Committee that have working together. It's very important that we include the Tourism Committee, as a few members are here today, and I thank them for coming. This is going to be a project that we started off with Lillian and Joellen, of course, and then Lauren jumped in, and it has really been a very long process. It started off with a very simple idea. I was sharing with Joellen that I really wanted to do something in reference to the fact that the city is 95 years old this year, and she came up with an even better idea. Instead of doing that, why don't we work our way to our 100? And I hope that everybody, mayor and council, and everyone present will really enjoy what we have put together so far. And Joellen has some further information for us as we go along. Thank you so much.
At a Coral Gables. Oh, there we go. I'm Joellen Phillips with Adkins and Associates out of Coral Gables, and I'm delighted to be here and to see the new faces. It sounds like you are a very energetic group, and everything that you're doing, this will play into it perfectly. And once again, what Councilwoman Sierra said, these are books that booklets we put together, so you can read through them at your leisure. But the PowerPoint presentation this evening will sort of run through it very briefly. But the idea is to work toward putting Homestead solidly on the map again for people who are investing, for people who are relocating their businesses, because you will be an excellent community. And the way to involve everybody in the community was probably our driving force, was to say, excuse me, let's present one community here. So we came up with the idea of the Homestead 100, sort of playing off the Speedway. But you have just a couple of years, 4 years, till you get to January 27th of 2013. Which will be your 100th anniversary. January 27th, turns out, is the day that you all were incorporated. And so we're gearing everything toward that. So we thought each year we can build toward it. And so let's see. So in 1913, this was, I'm sorry, they're on the TV screens, that here we were, a small little town, and look where you've come. And everyone here is to be congratulated, and those who sat up there before you are to be congratulated. That we now are to the point of really discovering the opportunities here in Homestead. You have so much to offer while you're preparing for the future with your children here and for all of the businesses and residents here. And there's so many things that are being overlooked by the people toward the north of you that you've got to pull them back here. So we are proposing to you that you spread out your 100th anniversary celebration over 4 years, and so that you can build up a momentum and highlight different things within Homestead. And once again, aiming toward January 27th, with your tagline being Discover the Opportunities. So I'm going to have to move closer to a TV screen because I can't see that.
Should we put it up here?
It's more comfortable this way.
Yes. Thank you. I thought we were going to have the big screen, so I didn't come prepared. Everyone, excuse me, in the city will be active participants is the big hope. And that means from little children right on up to your senior citizens. And if you can't actively participate for one reason or another, we expect you to be a cheerleader. And so to get out there and do everything working toward the excellence. Every citizen, business, and civic, social, educational, and religious organization, plus city officials, city staff, and throughout all city communications, to carry the word that in fact we're here. Now, this is what we call a sustained direct communication plan, because taking it on for 4 years is sort of taking a really big bite out of the apple. So how do you keep the enthusiasm up? Well, one of the biggest cheerleaders is Councilwoman Sierra. And so with that in mind, I think that this will work. I also realize what a cheerleader you are for the city of Homestead, too.
Thank you.
And I know the mayor saying, and I'm sorry I don't know the rest of you yet, but I hope to before the end of this, but you've done a great job. So, proactive earned media. Earned media is the media you don't pay for, which is things that go into the newspaper. So press releases announcing all of the good things that are going on in Homestead. And with your neighbor's reporter sitting right here, just let her know that she will be receiving lots of press releases from you to hear all the good stuff. But the other part of it, you're instilling a sense of community, which you've always had until you had your big expansion. And so there's always the east and west side, but now time to bring everybody back together here again. And we need to draw attention that Homestead is the new America. They're culturally diverse, and that everybody's welcome here. And it's in a great South Florida location. It's not just what you pass going to the Keys, as I think it was in a newspaper article, 2.5 years ago or so. So much more. Dynamic and balanced mix of commercial and residential areas. You're ready, you're open for business. And amplifying all the city's assets and establishing a unique and recognizable image. My office is in Coral Gables, and when we sort of do little focus group test things when we're talking about different things to present, and so we started asking what people know about Homestead. When was the last time you were in Homestead? And there was about 22 people that I took on this little survey, and I'm ashamed to say that most people have not been to Homestead for a very, very long time, unless they happen to be NASCAR fans. But then they're not coming to the city itself. So, need to send the word out that you are truly open here. So this image development and the word I've come to detest, branding, but it's the nomenclature for it. But you have to stick to it. That everybody knows once they see something that it is Homestead. And you reestablish and redefine the city of Homestead. and it becomes an identifiable source of corporate and community opportunities. Always think about those words, opportunities. And through consistent and repetitive messaging. And that was why I thought perhaps the 4 years leading up to your 100th anniversary, talk about repetitive for the 4 years. And people, if they hear enough about the good things that are going on down here, they're going to come down and take a look. And let's see what's happening. So, celebrating the past 100 years while preparing to welcome the future. We've got a great location. Came up with some logo designs for you that, once again, accentuate the 100 that you're building toward it. You have on the right-hand side, once again, to discover the opportunities and with the dates. The reason we don't have the dates on the ones on the left-hand side is because as some of these things get minimized down, you can't read them anyway. So it's better not to clutter an image with it than to try to put everything in it. This is we have a color scheme. If you look in the back of your books, you'll see like a whole color palette. So it's not like we have to stick with any one particular color, but you have a color palette that you can use that will all blend sort of together. These are the rectangular shapes rather than just the diamonds, so that you can diversify, use them for different things. So how do we get the citizens in this? Well, we thought maybe a contract for opportunities. And this is where, not just citizens, but businesses and citizens. That they're going to commit to something that's measurable, that they're going to do to make either their business, their schools, their civic organizations, their churches, their city department better than it is now. That they're going to say, I'm going to use, for instance, we were talking about the schools, that one of the schools, they have made a commitment to lower the absentee rate. And I understand, congratulations to them, that they've done a marvelous job of it. Something like that you can make a contract with the participants, that they're saying, for the little bit of this earth that I control, I'm going to make it better, thereby making Homestead better. So we utilize valuable communication resources and goodwill ambassadors within City Hall and city departments. So right here at the dais are the best goodwill ambassadors there are. But you have probably 300 more of them out there too with your city employees. The contracts for excellence here is that they sign a contract, the participants, whether it's a principal of a school or even one classroom in a school, whether it's the Kiwanis, whether it's the Optimist, Chamber of Commerce, but they're going to sign a contract and say, yeah, I'm going to participate. I want to see Homestead be the best city in the world, and this is just a different color. Bumper strips. Yes, so we put them on all of the city vehicles. So they're driving around out there announcing that, yeah, we're coming up on our 100th anniversary. T-shirts. Ta-da! Time to flash, everybody. Come on, you got to be better than that. But we have one for each one of you in a box here for after, so you can start wearing them anytime now. Banners, the street banners, and can be in several things. One of the things that we were thinking about, if we're going to do it for the 4 years, and you look at your color palette in the back, that you change the colors each year. And I did hear that somebody on your committee said about using the orange or the red that it fades. Not anymore. There's different printing methods now. So that's not going to be a problem anymore. There was. It truly was not too long ago. But, fortunately for everybody, unless you're doing it on cardboard or something. But on the material they use for this is pretty durable. So you don't have that real problem. So this is it in green. By the way, the red is sort of an orangey red. It's not just real bright red. Engaging the city staff. How do you do this? So we're suggesting that you do breakfast training sessions with no more than 30 at a time. You bring them in and tell them, that this is in fact something that's going to help your jobs be easier, but to take the pride in it. And for those who come up like in their departments or if they're divided down into sections, for them to think about what's something measurable that I can do to make this department more efficient or better. Then let them get out there and try this, and then you need to recognize them for their efforts. Very, very important for everybody. And outside of City Hall, the contract for outstanding opportunities. And this will be through all of your organizations. And it's recognition that you get, everybody will know about the campaign in the city then, and commitment to participate with a measurable activity, but it will reflect a commitment to make Homestead a better place to live, work, learn, love, worship, laugh, and play. And that's why I say it's important for you to get every single solitary, even if it's a home, just a family, and they want to maybe do something about planting something in their front yard to make it better. And as the contracts are signed, the list should be reflected in your city newsletter, on your website, and we're hoping for one central location. We had talked about Losner Square and putting up like some sort of sandwich boards there. That's something, but we haven't finished sort of designing it, but working on it. And then engaging organizations and individuals. And it says prior to kickoff ceremony, which of course would be January 27th each year. But engage enthusiastic business people, schools, churches, organizations, associations, and individuals, and have them also serve as goodwill ambassadors when they head north to go to work or when they head south to go to work. That they're inviting people and saying, come look and see what we're doing in Homestead. There's a lot of activity going on down here. And then, ask them once they've made their commitment and have their measurable thing, come to the council meetings and talk about it. Let's hear what they're doing. There's nothing else in the world that people like better than human interest stories and what they're doing. So we're suggesting like lapel pins for people. If you have an organization, let's say the Girl Scouts, and the leader wants a pin, but she could get smaller ones for the girls to wear. But so that they can walk around the city saying, I'm a participant. Green, once again. Channels of communication that cement the media contacts. Now this isn't just with the Herald, but it's also with every news station, and I didn't want to drag Lauren into this with Lillian returning on Monday, as she so excitedly tells everybody she meets, but that in fact to reach out to many of the Spanish tabloids and TV stations also, and so to let everybody know about this and establish the new media relations, just saying that, stories about achieving the measurable goals, and promote one-on-one interviews with elected officials. You all, I know, each have certain places that you go and certain organizations and things, but to give you something, give you tools that you can take into the community so that everybody's saying the same thing, though, too. And a special place reserved for campaign stories in the newsletter, so that there's like a little tab that they can hook, a logo they can hook right onto. Before stories, after stories. That this is why we decided to have this measurable thing that we were going to make better. And then great inspiration and good for morale. On the website, the campaign linked to the city's website, so that you create one that will have all these stories and everything that you can think of in it, with a distinctive look, the source of information, and the content being dynamic. The website, if you can see over in the little corner there, that's where the logo would be, and those are the contracts where they could actually go right online and get the information. So also, we're suggesting that you have one standard ad for professional journals. So I'm sure that in the city that you're hit up like every other city to run ads for certain things. But for the 4 years, to somehow or another bring in this, we're working on our 100th anniversary. And boy, wait till you see us then. You think we were something in 1913, what do you see us in 2013? And just creating that visibility out there. And this is sort of like what we had in mind, where it will announce all this stuff. And then for opportunities for speaking, I don't think that anybody's too shy sitting up here, and like I say, having your own comfort zones where you go to speak. But have a PowerPoint presentation that you have a disc that you can take wherever you go. And anytime you're asked, jump on the opportunity to let people know what's going on in Homestead. And then all the collateral materials. We have designed a multi-purpose brochure so that you can use the same folder for almost everything. And you'll have a contract application in it, contact information, and then going to the website. So this folder would have information in it, can have the cover on it of selection. Those are not written in concrete here. But that it can also be used for sponsorship package, the same folder. So that's probably one of the most important things I've said so far, is how we're going to pay for this, sponsorships. You're very fortunate because you've had some very large businesses move in here recently. And most of them are quite generous toward this type thing, especially if it's going to be toward the community and excellence in the community. And then the posters, to have posters around and about so that businesses can put them up. You can have them displayed in any place where announcing that we're moving toward our 100th anniversary, the Homestead 100. The 100 also represents 100%. So you have 100% participation and 100% meaning A+ on everything. And you can, at the Miami Speedway, Homestead Miami Speedway, what would be a better place than to have the Homestead 100? And I believe you've already spoken to Curtis, right? I'll be giving an update on that. Okay. And we're hoping to have the annual Homestead 100 race. So we even created a couple of logos for him to be able to use over there and to have it be something that would be fun. Programs and events. This came from your committee also, that to divide the 4 years into 25-year segments so that we could highlight things that happened between 1913 and 1938 for the first gala, and then have information like maybe over at the Historic Museum that would sort of be pulled out and drawn to that, things that are going on in the newsletter, so that people really get a feel for what's actually happened in Homestead during those years. And we would suggest that if there's somebody locally who is good behind a camera, to start filming all this so at the end, at the 100th anniversary, could sell the CDs and have the whole story there, which would be fairly spectacular. And then, oh, yes, the Opportunity Trail. As you're having the trail now between your two national parks, I understand it won't be paved for some time because of funding constraints, but that at least there's a pathway between them now, which made us think, well, why not have the pathway go around the city so that the businesses that are participating in the Homestead 100, they would have a sign up or a poster in their doorway, and people could go in and get their passports stamped. And so as they go around the city, you can have different areas at different times. There would be a map and signposts which look very similar to that. so that you could have people, first they would know about your attractions that you have down here rather than just the Speedway, and that you take them into your businesses. And especially when I heard this evening that you're doing something about downtown. It's a great place. We all know about the trucks, but, but a fantastic place, and people would love to come down here and do activities there. So we're thinking that you can have people on foot, in cars, on bicycles, going around, but in the 4 years to cover the whole trail. And the Opportunity Trail, once again, because down here they are discovering the opportunities. So it's a once really in a career and lifetime opportunity for you all to have a 100th anniversary. And so you're going to catch local, national, and regional attention. One other thing that you will catch, too, is probably the attention of the ICMA, which is the International City Managers Association. And every year they have the Savvy Awards. And they're called the 3 CMA Awards. And they are national. What it does is put you on the map with other cities, and how they judge any of the submissions is number 1 on community participation, number 2 on originality, and number 3 on keeping the cost under control. And that would be through sponsorships, having city staff do some of these things. And it just depends upon your commitment as a council to whatever the dollar amount is. But every year they have these awards, and what happens is other cities will then start calling you, saying, hey, how did you all do this? Give us some ideas, putting Homestead clearly on the map again. But you're inviting the world to Homestead and saying, yeah, we're really here. And I would like to be the first to wish you all happy 100th just a couple years early. But it's something that you all should be very proud of, because where you were and where you've been, especially after Hurricane Andrew. And so this might get it going.
Does anyone have any questions for Joellen before I add in some information?
I have some questions. Yes. So I just want to get clarification. So what we would do then, according to this plan, is that we would do a yearly kickoff? So
Yes.
There would be every January 27th, there would be
Yearly gala, a yearly event.
a yearly event. Okay.
One kickoff and then...
And so at that event, so we would be keeping the same theme or logo and then just changing the color for every single year?
Yes.
Okay.
That was
If
the
you
original
choose to do
idea.
so. Okay. I was just thinking of doing the color every year, then that would be an additional expense. If it's, this color one year, this color one year, would that be not multiplying the expense greatly if we just did one theme, one color? But you're trying to distinguish each year.
Correct. We're trying to work our way up to the 100th, and in reality, and I was going to get to budget, but I'll go ahead and talk about it right now. The idea is for this not to cost the city any money at all.
Okay.
The idea is to really work with sponsors. Some of the ideas that the city manager had suggested for the banners that we're placing at the lights is to have businesses sponsor the banner, and then their name will hang on the lower portion of that banner, so that would be cost effective there. As well as, for example, with the CDs, we're going to sell them at cost. So it's not going to cost the city. I mean, initially, yes, but that's money that will be recovered because we're selling them at cost. With the CDs, it's imperative that we have interviews. Of course, Ms. Ruth Campbell's name has come up so many times at my tourism committee. I don't know if her ears were beeping, but of course we need our citizens involved in these interviews and making sure that we have the right story with the CDs and other ideas to give them to our local schools, give them to our local libraries so they're made available to all citizens to be able to view them and gain the history from them, to be able to play them on our TV channel. So it's informative to our citizens as well. And I'll go back to a couple things I wanted to say. The portion about getting involved in the competitions and the awards with other cities came up pretty early on. And one of the ways that we wanted Homestead to make sure that we have Homestead recognized nationwide. We aren't recognized nationwide in those people that follow the races, but we really need to make sure that they understand that we are much more than just a racetrack. We are much more than 2 wonderful national parks. We are much more than a lot of little things. We're a great, wonderful city with amazing citizens, with great potential that we still haven't even seen ourselves. Yes, amazing. One of the things I've done, that's like my catchphrase, sorry. One of the things that I did a couple weeks ago, I have a Facebook, and I went ahead and I created a Homestead group. And I have had a lot of people, I have over 200 members right now that have signed on to this Homestead group from all over the United States. And I had not mentioned the Homestead 100 because I really wanted to come before council, of course, but they have been giving me stories about when they lived in Homestead, the school that they went to, things that occurred with them. This is the stuff I would love to incorporate into the CD and into the entire program. I had in my earlier political career, I met with Mr. Shahada, who had told me that he wanted to do some type of a yearly event for the city, and this is before the Homestead 100 came up. The idea would be to do the kickoff in January, although in January of 2009, the 27th is a Tuesday, and we can do it on a Tuesday, but we can do it the weekend before or the weekend after. The amazing thing is that when we actually turn 100 on January 27, 2013, it's actually a Sunday. So that's a perfect day to have our wonderful 100 party. In speaking to Mr. Curtis Gray, who was trying to be here this evening and apparently could not make it, he is extremely enthusiastic and mentioned that putting together a yearly Homestead 100 race would not be a problem. In fact, he was very excited about being able to work with the city for the Speedway and the city to merge and work together and create a committee to put this together. He asked me how big did I want it, and I said really, really big. If we can have kiddie rides, if we can have national media recognition, if we can have famous racers come out, and he said we can do it. So in knowing that, I know that the date has already been set at the Speedway for the 27th of 2013. It's just deciding what we want to do from here to there. Do we always want to have a party in January celebrating the next birthday and working our way to the 100th year? That was one of the ideas that the Tourism Committee, and I will tell you, I have 2 members here tonight, 3 members, that are here from the Tourism Committee, and I want to thank them so much. They really put their heads into this project. I presented it to them as part of the marketing committee, and they really took hold of it and ran. The idea of doing the CD came from Ms. Cheryl Q, which I thought was just phenomenal because it'll keep a true record of where Homestead has been, and it doesn't say we can't continue it every 25 years, do another CD to add to the collection, and really keep a true history of what's going on in our great city. I was going to say amazing. Any other questions? Any other questions or concerns? Yes, ma'am.
When you say gala, are you talking about, I think gala being an evening, formal event. Is that what you're...
It's exactly whatever you want. And we had suggested perhaps having period costumes. And I know that Ruth will supply everybody with everything they need. So but in fact, you can make it as large as you want or as hometown as you want, whatever you want. We were using gala just because we want it to be big. We want everybody to feel invited to it. Once again, right now is a time where you really the board needs to do their homework and to get out and get your cornerstone members, participants. And I'm sure that all of you can think of at least 5 of them, people, organizations who would be interested in doing this. I mean, originally we were just thinking 100 organizations, but I am assured by the cheerleader that in fact there'll be a lot more than just 100.
And,
And so, I'm sorry, excuse me.
I was just going to say, and to comment on the trailway, the greenway. We've had a master plan already done on that, and we have our route already pretty much secured. We've worked on it for years, but we can do little side jaunts from it, and I'll be happy to work with you on that, because we're doing that with the Redland Trail.
Excellent.
With their stops, and the Redland Trail is something that goes from Florida City all the way out to Schnebley's Winery. So we can do the outshoots, and I'll be happy as the trail, as
a trailblazer.
As the mother of the Greenway to work on that. We're having a meeting next week, actually, Ms. Sierra, so I'll be happy to get you a map of what we already have and how we're doing that. I think it's great. I've already got favorites up here for the graphics, but I think it's great. I really do. Congratulations.
One of the ideas that one of the tourism committee members stated was to do, since we wanted to do the finale, an actual Homestead 100 race with cars. In interim years, we can do a Homestead 100 bicycle race down the path, do a Homestead 100 marathon down Chrome Avenue. I mean, just building up to the final actual car race, doing something every year.
Well, actually, we're having a bike-a-thon, a national bike-a-thon in May, so we're planning on using the trailway and other trailways as well. So you could certainly, bring that into the RIM with that. I mean, I always think that we should all work together and be one. Be one together. But I just wanted to tell you that years ago, and Ruth and I think Yvonne would remember this, we did a kickoff for the Seminole Theater when they did the marquee, and we all dressed in period clothing. What year did we sell? What was no, but I mean, it was like 1940s, 1930s. So I found the dress I wore the other day, and actually I borrowed one of Pat Millerson's hats. She has a whole collection of antique hats. So I mean, it's something that Homestead loves, and there was a huge turnout on Chrome Avenue that night with the old cars, and people came from all around. We had people from the Pinecrest area and all around that they came. So I think that's great. Good work.
Thank you.
You have to give them a reason to come. And announcing this, that we're going to, everybody's welcome back to Homestead. Come on down.
I got stories for you from my family. You might want to hear them, but...
Any other questions or comments?
I have a comment, Councilwoman Sierra.
Yes, ma'am.
You said the key word there, free, and that it would not be any cost to the city, and so that's really encouraging, because I think that's, as I'm looking at the quality of the lapel pins and the banners, and I'm thinking that is awesome, but we want to maintain the cost to be very low, so I love that you're thinking that way. And I love the idea of the 100 Speedway race. And then if you can include this, is you're doing an awesome job with the Marketing and Tourism Committee. You guys, it shows that you guys have been hard at work, and it has your energy level all over this. Looking at the PowerPoint presentation and everything, that's definitely your energy level. And then perhaps you can come back with another focus group to see if at the end, if there's been significant impact as to what people think about Homestead, and if they recognize our goal of name branding and all of the stuff that you talked about. So the only thing I would like to vote on is the colors. Okay. I think the red and yellow to me reminds me of that Orville popcorn. I was thinking of Campbell soup. And so if I have any vote at all, you guys have done a great job. I would like to pick the green.
Well, the idea between the colors is to not stick to any one, but incorporate them all as the years go on. So 1 year, and remember, this is a little redder than what the intention is. It's really more of an orange. It's not really red, and we did have that question come up several times, and she's shaking her head over there at the Tourism Committee. Red, disgusting, but when it was explained that it was more of an orange or burnt orange. What it was really going to distinguish away from our typical green, and would probably even shine up more on our bumper stickers, on our city cars, and those of us that put bumper stickers on our windows on our cars, it will show up a little more. But the idea is to go from green to red or red to green, and it's really not red, it's more of an orange, but I understand your concern with the red. When I saw the red for the first time, it also concerned me, but it's really more of a burnt orange.
But aside from that, congratulations, and I look forward to it.
Yes, ma'am.
I really love where it says celebrating the past and welcoming the future. I like the combination of the two very, very much. And I actually love the red, except for when I saw the red. I love the color red, I love red, but when I saw the red and the yellow, and all I could think of was Campbell Soup. So that's what it reminded me of. So everyone has, in fact, I think Campbell Soup celebrated an anniversary at one time, and I'm thinking if they used the diamond or something along the line.
Well, maybe now it can remind you of Campbell Drive.
But I think if it was the orange color, that would be really, really good.
And that's been brought up several times, Jarlin, from the tourism committee as well, the fact that the red didn't look like what we really wanted to represent. Now, when it comes to the actual Homestead 100 on this portion here, everyone did seem to like it with the red.
I think it
not
belongs.
the orange red.
I think it actually should stay like it is for the racing because it has the black component.
The black, white, and right.
That
The
looks,
checkered.
yeah, that looks really good. I like just like it is for the racing.
The reason it was sort of the orange red too is if you take a look at your city seal, it has the oranges and the greens, and it's basically picking up a lot, just different variations, whether it's more intense or paler.
I'm just saying I wouldn't mind the red and the black for the racing.
I like the red and the black for the racing.
It looks really good for the racing. And Councilwoman, I also want to compliment you, and Councilwoman Lobo said it very, very well. I see you all over this. I'll compliment the advertising agency as well.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm very pleased with
The tourism committee
and
was
the
just
tourism
amazing.
committee and the marketing committee, and thank you for taking the leadership on this. This is definitely as Councilman Lobo says, it definitely has you all over it. So I just really appreciate your work on this.
Thank you. Vice Mayor.
I grew up in a small town in New York that celebrated a 100-year anniversary too. And one thing that they did was they went nationwide and found other towns that were also celebrating and tried to send them out packages of information and piggyback with one another to let the residents know of the other towns that there were 100-year anniversaries going on other places. And at first it kind of didn't seem like it did a lot, but it did. You started noticing more people coming to celebrate the 100-year anniversary. And there ended up, I think there were like 4 or 5 towns that kind of piggybacked together. They all tried to stay separate, but they also got their information out to the other towns that were celebrating.
Was that throughout the nation or just in New York?
They no, they went all over. They tried to to go out west, to the Midwest, to the West. They just tried to do a search and find towns that were celebrating their birthdays about the same time, the same year and all that, and that towns that were doing other things, and then they tried to piggyback together just to let them know and get the information out there.
Great idea.
I love that idea. Thank you very much.
And that's where your city manager can come into play, because I'm sure you belong to the ICMA.
I want to say one more thing. I don't know if you realize this, but we have been getting a lot of good media and press lately. There was a wonderful article about us in the Wall Street Journal, and so we are getting some good national press, and it was on the Great Recovery since Andrew, and I sat with the reporters for a couple of hours here in the office going over, Hurricane Scrapbook and things like that. So we have been getting some good press, so I think this will just add to that. It really help to the reputation that the city of Homestead has been building upon.
I also wanted to mention that now that I see Ms. Brito and Joel, and I haven't had a chance to talk to you about this yet, but I met with Ms. Brito to see if we can bring Art South into the mix as well and unveil some type of, we haven't decided what yet, monument, statue, something that we can unveil the day that we actually turn 100 as well. Don't know location, don't know anything, but we're working on the idea to begin with. Yes?
Madam Chair, Council members, I recommend you have the statue of the city manager.
It'll be a little on that horse. It won't cost too much, Mike. It won't be too big. But that's one added feature that we need to include in our presentation when we're going to do the PowerPoint for us to even talk about it. So I'm really excited. She seemed excited the day that we met, and we were coming up with ideas of either doing something where it could show
for the next, it won't be anything for this January, but starting the January of 2010, have some part of it showing, and then for the following year, have a second part of it. We're working on that.
Did you give her a contract to sign?
I'm sorry?
Did you give her a contract to sign?
Oh, we gotta get her a contract, absolutely.
May I just say a few things?
Absolutely.
Just here, Councilwoman Sierra mentioned something about, early in, I think, even when I was a deputy city manager, it was always my dream to do something here at the community, like Citizens Appreciation Day, where we have a barbecue for the citizens and we have exhibits where they could interact with the city departments, elected officials, and practically who's who in the community.
What a thrill.
Something at Harris Field. So that, I think, what she was talking about earlier. The other thing I want to mention, I think I mentioned it to some of you, we are starting something through SOS and the police department, where we're going to have similar to a corporate run, but we are going to have it the first weekend of February, and somehow we're going to be tying it to the theme of Valentine. So if you have a heart, you could participate. And I think we're going to start the first event in February 2007 and start building. But it's going to be a corporate run.
2010
2009. I'm going back.
Okay.
It's just food for thought, because if we're going to have something for the 27th, if it's corporate run, then we're going to have another corporate run after.
Good. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Thank you for your work. You're welcome. Councilwoman Lobos, you had mentioned that you wanted to vote on the color palette. Is that something you still would like to do? I think she got her marching orders.
Well, that's just input.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Anybody else? Anybody from the audience? Thank you to my committee for being here. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate your support on this. It means a lot to me to be able to assist such a great city to be known to the rest of the world. And during my campaign, I said several times, I want Homestead to become a destination, not just a drive-through. And I think this is going to be one way that we can make that. So thank you. Thank you very much, Councilwoman.
Excuse me, also that Lauren will have T-shirts after for everybody. So.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Moving right along, Public Safety Committee, Councilman Nelson. You have to accept one of those hard grants to accept again, Tim.
Tab 6, Attorney General's VOCA grant.
I'll move it. I'll second.
Any questions?
I just want to know why you can't get us more money than that.
I'm trying.
Yeah, one coming.
Another grant.
I was out there today, we're talking with them, they've got some good ones coming up, so can't wait for those. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Any business for this, Mr. Manager, any business?
Mayor, council members, again, just piggybacking my earlier comments, SOS is doing such an outstanding job for the community. And, we got together with the police department, human resources, to try to practically start an event here to start generating more revenues for them for the programs they do, and also to highlight downtown Homestead by, when we do the corporate run. We want downtown to be the start and finish, so people can see downtown. So we want to put several birds with one stone.
Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you. Any business for us, Mr. Nelson? Ms. Sierra? No. Vice Mayor? Feel better. Councilman Lobos?
Good, I just can't.
Mr. McCormick?
No, ma'am.
Ms. Waltman? Thank you very much for attending this meeting. We do appreciate your turning out for this. Thank you so much. This meeting is adjourned.